Halloween Swamp Monster by Elham Ghoreishi. A shift in her perspective occurred when she relocated to the United States 3 years ago. There, she found herself celebrating her birthday in the midst of a different culture, an experience she had never encountered before. The absence of Halloween and its festivities in her home country had spared her this peculiar juxtaposition. Lily had grown up and received her education in Iran, becoming a vibrant and optimistic individual. Yet, the events of recent years had transformed her into a more introverted and contemplative person. Her incarceration had been a turning point, leaving deep emotional scars on her soul. It was as if something profound had changed within her. The 128 days of solitary confinement had been a relentless assault on her spirit, exposing her to horrors more chilling than any she had ever witnessed in movies or on television. She had come face to face with real-life monsters during her imprisonment. Her crime? She was a lawyer, dedicated to representing those who dared to challenge the oppressive regime's compulsory hijab laws. Her clients included brave girls who yearned for freedom and men who were weary of the economic pressures and soaring prices that suffocated their lives. All of them, along with their lawyers and the journalists who dared to report on the protests, were cast into the shadows of prison. 3 years had passed since Lily made the life-altering decision to immigrate from Iran to America, seeking refuge and the promise of a brighter future. In this new land, he had found employment in a restaurant, serving as the backbone of his self-sufficiency. The life he once knew, filled with childhood and university friends, was now a distant memory, lost in the vast expanse of time and geography. The bonds with family, acquaintances, and old colleagues had gradually faded, replaced by the solitude of his new existence. Lily found himself amidst a sea of strangers, with their unfamiliar language and culture. His co-workers at the restaurant were mostly teenagers juggling part-time jobs, their youthful exuberance a stark contrast to his own introverted and solitary disposition. As his 40th birthday approached, Lily couldn't help but be on edge, his senses heightened, and every sound seemed to carry an ominous weight. But determined to overcome this unsettling feeling, he made a conscious decision to take control of his birthday. He chose to visit the hairdresser, dress in his finest attire, and purchase candles and a cake to celebrate on his own. He believed that marking his entry into middle age at the age of 40 might bring auspiciousness and a fresh start to his life. It was a simple plan, but it carried profound significance for him. Lily sat quietly in the bustling salon, her presence unnoticed by the others, as she listened to the animated conversations about the Louisiana swamp monster. The conversations ebbed and flowed, a mix of belief and skepticism that seemed to hang in the air like an unresolved mystery. The experienced hairdresser, whose nimble fingers worked wonders with hair, shared a chilling tale. "My grandpa used to say that on Halloween night, the swamp monster rises from the depths. He believed it with all his heart, claimed he heard the whispers himself one eerie evening." A customer, wrapped in a black cape, laughed heartily, dismissing the story. "Oh, come on, it's just a way to make the night more thrilling for the kids. Spook molo, you know?" But the hairdresser, undeterred, continued, "I've talked to some folks who swear they've seen it. They say it's not just a story. It smells foul, like death, from a few meters away. And if you lock eyes with it, you can hear the haunting whispers of its previous victims." Another customer, with a twinkle of mischief in their eyes, added, "They say it devours the hope of its victims like a soul-eating specter. Takes them down to the murky depths of the swamp and consumes them entirely." While some in the salon chuckled at the absurdity of the tale, others leaned in, captivated by the eerie legend. Lily, still silent, absorbed every word, feeling a mixture of fascination and trepidation. With her hair now perfectly styled, Lily left the salon, the conversation about the swamp monster lingering in her thoughts like a ghostly echo. Lily walked 2 streets away from the hairdresser, her anticipation of enjoying her birthday cake slowly dissipating as strange and sinister events unfolded one after another. The atmosphere in the city felt heavy, as if an omen of bad news hung in the air. Dark clouds loomed overhead, casting eerie shadows across the dimly lit streets, adding to the sense of unease. She entered a small bakery, its quaint antique facade evoking a sense of nostalgia. Lily's footsteps echoed in the empty shop as she approached the glass display filled with an array of confectionery delights. Her eyes settled on a birthday cake, adorned with vibrant icing and adorned with flickering candles, each one bearing a wish yet to be spoken. The candles seemed to dance mysteriously, their flames casting strange, shifting patterns of light that sent a shiver down Lily's spine. The baker, an elderly man with a hunched back and a weary expression, placed the cake in a box and handed it to Lily, his voice trembling as he said, "Be cautious tonight, young lady. Halloween has a way of making strange things happen." Lily, with a hint of unease in her voice, replied, "Thank you, sir. I'll keep that in mind." She left the shop, clutching her sweet treasure, and headed toward her modest car, a relic of a bygone era. The street lamps buzzed and flickered, as if they were whispering secrets to each other, casting eerie shadows that seemed to follow her. The echoes of her footsteps against the cobblestone streets resonated in a haunting cadence. As she drove home, Lily couldn't resist glancing at her reflection in the rearview mirror. Her hair and makeup were impeccable, and a soft smile graced her face, a reassuring reflection of her inner hope. She longed for this birthday to mark a new beginning, a break from the eerie happenings that had shadowed her day. She wanted to believe in the promise of the candles on her cake, in the power of wishes. However, her tranquility was short-lived. On the dimly lit road, she suddenly saw something terrifying in the middle of her path. Her heart pounded as she slammed the brakes, the screeching of the tires echoing through the night. The dark figure, vague and menacing, appeared to hover in the center of the road, its presence sending a chill through her bones. As her car came to a sudden stop, the figure disintegrated into a swirling mist, leaving nothing but an ominous afterimage in Lily's memory. Her hands trembled as she attempted to make sense of what she had seen. It was as if the very fabric of reality had momentarily shifted, allowing this ghastly apparition to manifest. Lily's hands trembled slightly as she held the birthday cake, her palms growing clammy with unease. The darkness outside seemed to press against the windows, and the air inside her house felt unusually thick. With every step, the creaking floorboards beneath her feet echoed through the empty rooms, amplifying the eerie silence that hung in the air. She placed the cake on the dining table, its cheerful decorations now oddly out of place in the somber atmosphere. The flickering candlelight cast unsettling shadows on the walls, making the room feel haunted. Lily tried to shake off the feeling of dread that had settled deep within her, chalking it up to an overactive imagination spurred on by the day's strange events. But as she moved through her house, a sense of being watched persisted. Every corner seemed to conceal hidden eyes, and every sound, no matter how faint, sent shivers down her spine. The marsh outside her window, usually a place of serene beauty, now appeared ominous and foreboding. Lily hesitated before the window, her breath catching in her throat. She resisted the urge to glance outside, fearing what she might see. Instead, she turned away, closing the curtains tightly, as if shutting out the malevolent gaze of an unseen presence. Once again, in the safety of her dimly lit house, she tried to convince herself that it was all in her mind. She lit the candles on her birthday cake, their flickering flames casting dancing shadows across the walls. The warm glow provided some comfort, but it couldn't dispel the growing sense of dread that enveloped her. Lily sat down at the table, her hands trembling as she picked up the knife to cut the cake. Just as the blade touched the icing, a sudden gust of wind rattled the windows, and the candles flickered violently. The room plunged into darkness for a moment before the lights flickered back on, leaving Lily in a state of breathless terror. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was lurking just beyond the edge of her vision, something ancient and malevolent. With her heart pounding in her chest, Lily looked around the room, her eyes wide with fear. The sound of a faint whisper echoed through the house, sending chills down her spine. It was as if the very walls were murmuring secrets she wasn't meant to hear. The voice seemed to come from the marsh outside, carrying with it the weight of centuries-old secrets and the echoes of lost souls. Lily clutched the knife tightly, her knuckles turning white. She felt an overwhelming urge to leave, to run from the unseen presence that now seemed to engulf her home. But fear rooted her to the spot, paralyzing her with a nameless dread. The whispering grew louder, filling the room with an unintelligible chorus of voices. Lily's eyes darted around, searching for the source of the haunting sound, but there was nothing to be seen. It was as if the very walls themselves were speaking, their ancient timbers carrying the weight of the past. Terror-stricken, Lily stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. She took a step back, her eyes never leaving the spot where the whispering seemed to be the strongest. The air grew thick with a suffocating sense of malevolence, and she knew deep down that something sinister had been awakened. As she backed away, Lily knocked the birthday cake off the table, its candles snuffing out in the fall. The room plunged into darkness once again, and the whispering grew deafening, filling her ears with a cacophony of voices. Lily stumbled backward, desperately fumbling for the light switch. With a flicker, the lights came back on, illuminating the room in a harsh, sterile glow. The whispering ceased abruptly, leaving Lily standing in the center of her now empty house, her breaths coming in ragged gasps. She glanced towards the window, her heart stopping in her chest. There, in the glass, she saw a fleeting glimpse of a shadowy figure, its eyes gleaming with an otherworldly malevolence. It was gone in an instant, leaving Lily with the chilling certainty that whatever had been awakened was now watching, waiting, just beyond the veil of reality. With a trembling hand, Lily reached for her phone, her fingers dialing a number almost by instinct. She needed help, someone to dispel the darkness that had settled over her life. As the call connected, she whispered her address into the phone, her voice barely audible. "Please," she said, her voice quivering, "hurry, I think something is in my house, something not of this world." The operator's silence hung in the air for an agonizing moment before the call abruptly disconnected. Halloween night had descended upon the city, and the police switchboards were flooded with calls from both genuine concerns and the idle fantasies of those reporting supernatural beings. In the dimly lit confines of her home, Lily found herself battling a rising tide of unease. Her encounter on the road had left her shaken, and the strange occurrences had cast a shadow over her birthday celebration. But as she stood alone in the stillness of her home, she took a deep breath, determined to regain control over her emotions. She whispered to herself, "You survived prison, torture, and immigration alone. Local legends and unsettling tales should not have power over you. All that you see and feel is a product of your mind. Stay in control. Tonight is your birthday, a beautiful night." Lily repeated these affirmations like a mantra, a mental shield against the encroaching darkness. She reminded herself that she was a mature and wise person, unswayed by superstitions and ghostly tales. There was no room in her reality for malevolent supernatural entities. These stories, she convinced herself, were created to amuse and spook children, not rational adults. With each repetition, it was as if the atmosphere within her house transformed. The shadows seemed to recede, giving way to a more comforting, well-lit ambience. However, as a precaution, Lily carefully drew the curtains, shutting out the inky blackness of the night and the looming presence of the marsh beyond. Her intention was to keep her home as well lit as possible, insulating it from the outside world and its ghostly tales. The soft glow of electric lights now bathed the room, pushing back the night and its eerie uncertainties. Lily was determined not to let fear take hold, and with each reassurance, she found herself feeling more in control. The memories of prison and the trials she had faced were a testament to her resilience, and they provided strength on this unsettling Halloween night. With her home securely illuminated, Lily settled at her dining table, where the remnants of her birthday cake still sat, now illuminated by a warm and inviting light. She was determined to celebrate the passage into her 40s, to embrace the promise of her new life in America, and to shed the lingering doubts that had clung to her throughout the day. The sound of her own voice, affirming her strength and resilience, served as a shield against the specters of the night. Lily was determined to enjoy her birthday, to cast aside the shadowy figures that had tried to encroach on her celebration, and to face the mysterious Halloween night with courage and conviction. Lily cut a portion of his birthday cake and carefully placed it on a plate alongside a glass of rich red wine. He settled onto the comfortable sofa in front of the TV, the soft glow of the screen offering a comforting contrast to the eerie night outside. With the remote control in hand, he turned on the TV, expecting the usual broadcast of Iran's news in Farsi. As predicted, the news was filled with its usual dose of despair and conflict, casting a shadow on the room. Eager to escape the grim reality of the news, Lily decided to switch to Netflix in search of a romantic comedy, the perfect choice to lift her spirits. As the movie began to unfold its charming plot, Lily allowed herself to be drawn into the world of love and laughter, a brief respite from the day's unsettling events. Laughter and warmth filled the room, and for a moment she forgot about the eerie occurrences that had haunted her. But the peaceful interlude was abruptly shattered by the sudden and jarring sound of her phone ringing. Lily jumped up in surprise, causing a portion of her birthday cake to tumble onto the sofa. Frustration and curiosity battled within her as she reached for the phone, her heart racing once more. The caller ID displayed the word "Mom," and Lily hesitated for a moment before answering the call. It was her mother on the other end, her face filled with warmth and affection as she wished her daughter a happy birthday. The video call connected, and the sight of her familiar face brought tears to Lily's eyes. Her mother's voice was filled with love and longing as she expressed how much they all missed her. Lily's response was equally heartfelt, "Me too, Mom." The virtual connection with her family provided a bittersweet solace on her birthday, bridging the physical gap that separated them. The camera angle shifted to reveal her father and her younger brother, both wearing smiles that mirrored the love and warmth of their mother. Lily's heart swelled as she saw their faces, a profound mixture of happiness and sadness coursing through her. Lily's mother went on to say how much she, her father, and her younger brother missed her, emphasizing the deep bond of family that transcended physical distance. Her words touched her heart, and her response was a simple, "Me too." Unbeknownst to Lily, her family had also prepared a cake of their own. In a heartwarming display of togetherness, they sang the happy birthday song, and through the screen, Lily watched as they all blew out the candles on the cake. The warmth, love, and connection she felt in that moment transcended the limitations of technology, making it feel as if she were right there with them. For the first time in a day filled with eerie events and unsettling encounters, Lily laughed wholeheartedly. The laughter was a beautiful counterpoint to the fear and unease that had haunted her, a testament to the enduring strength of family and the power of love to transcend distance. As the video call continued, the disturbing occurrences of the night seemed to fade into the background, overshadowed by the genuine joy and connection that her family had brought into her home. Mom informed Lily that they had spent their autumn holidays at their villa in northern Iran, near the Caspian Sea. She described the scenic beauty of the road to Chalice in northern Iran during the autumn season. She mentioned that they were currently sending Lily photos of their trip. They bid farewell to each other with distant kisses. After a few moments, the photos started to arrive one by one. Lily began to view them, appreciating the beauty captured in each image, the smiling faces of her family, and the picturesque landscapes of Iran and the Caspian Sea. However, one photo wiped the smile off Lily's face. It depicted her parents and brother with their little dog, but in the background loomed a menacing swamp. The night had plunged into darkness, and the moonlight cast eerie shadows, setting the stage for a horrifying turn of events that would haunt Lily's every waking moment. Too late, she had peered into the sinister swamp on that malevolent Halloween night, compelled by a force beyond her control. The realization came like a chilling blast of wind. Something sinister lurked behind her family in the photograph, a spectral presence amidst the murky swamp. It quivered and convulsed with such violence that Lily's phone rattled in her hand, resonating with an unholy energy. She felt her will slip away, as though trapped in a malevolent trance. Her eyes were fixed on the accursed image, unable to blink. The vile creature within the photo twisted and writhed, growing larger and drawing nearer with each heartbeat. The lights in Lily's house flickered wildly, each pulse growing dimmer, as an unbearable stench of decay seeped into every crevice. Whispers, sinister and maddening, filled the air, a cacophony of eerie voices that sent shivers down her spine. Lily's eyes bulged uncontrollably, her phone slipped from her trembling grasp. She tried to pull back, but it was too late. The monstrous entity had clawed its way out of the image. The whispers grew louder, now an agonizing, relentless symphony, threatening to tear apart her sanity. Her eyes felt as though they were about to burst, her mind teetering on the precipice of madness. The following day, Lily didn't venture out of her house, and the days that followed bore witness to her gradual descent into madness. Her existence had been forever shattered. The Marsh monster had devoured her soul entirely, and with it, her sanity, dragging her lifeless body to the dark abyss of the Anzali Marsh in the north of Iran. Only the wretched echoes of the whispers and the ominous legend of the swamp monster remained to tell the tale of her harrowing demise. The end. Elham Ghoreishi. Halloween swamp monster.